Day 8 is in the books. Good morning, everybody.
Hello.
So, Frogman is back as expected.
Correct.
And busy day yesterday, both for us as well as Spiel as a whole.
Yeah, it was insane.
It really was. So, now did it feel as big?
Yes, because I could not get from one hall to the other without it taking like 20 minutes.
I tried to warn you.
Yep.
And as much as we swore that, okay, we're just going to hunker down at the booth and that was that, that didn't
Nope,
happen.
not at all.
It was a really active day. I mean, really busy day yesterday. And I say yesterday because last night was a really late night, which we'll get into here in a little bit. Instead of doing this one chronologically, I figure we'll just kind of talk about the stuff that we did.
We'll kind of group it together.
Yeah, so yesterday was a number of interviews as well as meetings and setting up further interviews. So we saw designer of Oilfield, Paco Yanez, and he showed us his new prototype as well. And we basically ran through the prototype instead of sitting down for an interview. Reason being, we're actually going to do a longer Conversations with Heavy Cardboard with Paco in the coming months.
Yeah.
So we're going to go ahead and do that. I did have a quick interview with Noria designer, Sophia Wagner, and hopefully we're going to also sit down with her for a longer conversation with Heavy Cardboard. It's nice to see some... it's funny, I'm here in Germany and everyone calls them authors, so I've gotten in the habit of saying, someone's an author and not a designer. But anyway, it's cool to see
like a new face. Like
it is, and it being a woman is great. Also sat down and hung out and interviewed Mark Garretts, a designer of mini rails as well as steam rollers. And going to have a longer Conversations with Heavy Cardboard with him as well. The fellas behind Tribes, Early Civilization, the publishers, they came by. We sat down for a quick interview with them. And that was pretty much that. We also had lunch yesterday with a couple of designers as well as other folk.
That was pretty awesome. It was Tony Boydell, Alexander Pfister, George from Perfect Information.
Patrick was there, and Richard was there, and a couple other people. So one of those surreal moments also happened as we were heading to or arriving at that lunch.
Yeah, we walked up, and Alexander Pfister said, "Oh, hello, Edward. Oh, hello, Amanda." I was like, "Wait, what?" I mean, I assume it's because I was with you, but he knows my name, so that means he listens to the show.
Yeah, he's a fan of the show. He
bizarre.
said that before. That was pretty cool. And we also, at the end of lunch, I touched base with both Alex and Tony, and gonna do Conversations with Heavy Cardboard with both of them down the road as well. Something that I forgot to mention on the last daily diary that was one of those, okay, this made my day moments.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we didn't talk about that.
So we're heading to the meetup the other night and walking through Hall 1 with a suitcase full of T-shirts heading towards the meetup. And I look over to my left and there's this little, I think, Italian man walking next to me. And I'm like, and he looks at me and says, "You're Edward from Heavy Cardboard." And I look at him and then recognition, and I was like, forged in steel.
Yep.
So I've told this story on some level previously, but indulge me here. Last year, during one of the days at Spiel, I got out of the way of one of the walkways, one of the aisleways, and was leaning over. I kneeled down and was getting into my backpack, and so I was wearing a Heavy Cardboard T-shirt, but you really couldn't see it. So you either knew me or you didn't.
Right.
And keep in mind, this is before the YouTube channel. And this same gentleman, Nuno, we found out his name, walks up to me and said, "You," and points at me, and I'm like, uh-oh, what did I do? And he slings his backpack off and he pulls it open and he shows me a copy of Forge and Seal, said, "This is your fault." And I've mentioned that was cool. Just that's kind of one of those, not saying we've arrived, but one of those really cool moments.
Yeah.
As well as this obvious European, I'm going with Italian gentleman, is not only listens to the show, but he picked up a game from a publisher and designer that are relatively local to us. And I'm just like, how surreal is this?
Yeah.
So then, out of the umpteen thousands that are at Spiel, here I am walking next to the same guy.
Person.
And he and I had a pretty good laugh about that story from last year. And he said, yeah,
what's this year?
And this year, John Company, your fault. So that was really cool. That was that was one of those moments that, just awesome.
Yeah.
So let's see, what else? Speaking of Tony Boydell earlier, he was very, very patient, as was Richard, because things kept happening and we were supposed to have a quick little meeting for him to show us a nice cup of tea, and then it kept getting slid back. And so sorry about that, Tony and Richard, but eventually we did get them.
Yes, we did.
And we got to hang out and sit and talk, as well as Tony Boydell showed us a nice cup of tea, his upcoming game next year from Matago. And as he described it, and we kind of all agreed that if you think of Snowdonia as a system, a lot like how Brass Lancashire is a system that has Brass Birmingham that feels like Brass, but is its own game, that's what a nice cup of tea is going to end up being. It's not a second edition, it's not anything like that, it's just taking the Snowdonia system and implementing it in a different way and adding new stuff to it, etc., etc. Looks great. Can't wait to check it out.
Tony Boydell, and it's about tea, which you live on. So seems
seriously,
pretty perfect.
right? No doubt. We also had our second Akali Mala game.
We did, and it was a lot of fun. That was the first time that I've actually played the game. Every other time I've just kind of been watching and as it's been being taught and stuff. And I really enjoyed the game, and it was a lot of fun to play with the people that we played with.
Yeah, all patrons.
It was.
So it was Peony, it was Uva, and Marlon. And
everybody but Vinny had a heavy cardboard T-shirt on, but it was because he had just come from working at...
Well, yeah, and it's his game.
Edge of Humanity,
right.
So he had on that shirt, but everybody else had on the heavy cardboard shirt.
So how chaotic is it? This is kind of embarrassing, but kind of funny. So Peony is standing at the booth, right, just before 1 o'clock, and he has a copy of Edge of Humanity with him, and he's like, "Hey, I'm here for our 1 o'clock meeting," and I'm like, "Oh no, did we double book? Really?" I'm like,
did not put 2 and 2 together at all.
I had no clue, and I'm like, "Dude, I am so sorry. We'll get with Amanda and reschedule. I'm sorry." And I was like, "We have our game of Akali Mala, and we can't." And he's like, "That's what I'm here for." And I'm like, "Oh, you're that Peony." As if there were so many running around.
Because we know 15 of you.
And so, that was,
well, whatever. It's crazy here.
And this is why we write down the schedule and why you're in charge of organizing everything. So obviously we had it all planned. It was never in doubt.
Exactly.
Thank you very much. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. Fabio, the designer, actually was kind of hanging out and watching, and we had quite the crowd
sitting
or
awesome.
standing around and watching. Mark Garrett's came up and checked that out, and a number of people did, and hashtag bad teacher, I won. Well, I don't have to run a stream. I can just focus on playing the game. That was amazing. That felt good. So that was really, really cool. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. That and just walking around the booth, picking up more games.
And I started punching games.
Hold on, started? Well, I guess during the day, right?
Yeah.
And you organized the booth a little, sort of. And
it's so small and there's so many games. It's hard to do
God
anything.
bless Sophia. She came to the booth
It's
for
like a disaster area.
it really was. We had for the 3 auction winners. You had everything stacked up on the table. So I was like interviewing her, kind of peering around a mountain of games, leaning over to ask questions, and she's sitting on a chair, kind of just tucked in. And
good thing she's really skinny.
Yeah,
so she did fine.
Yeah, so that was pretty funny. But we didn't really plan on a couple of these interviews, and so people just showed up. Oh, you're here. Okay, let's do this.
Yeah.
So they were very accommodating, very understanding. And she was like, it's not a mess.
Right.
And we're like, yes,
It is.
So at the end of the day, we headed out, and it was pretty cool seeing Robert, the head of
Marketing, I guess?
the ADC Blackfire. He's the one who organized. He and Uli organized everything for getting us at the booth. He was sporting a brick heavy cardboard shirt yesterday, and that was pretty cool to see.
He said he was walking through the halls and somebody said, "Hey, nice shirt," and
before he responded, he was like,
"Wait, what?" And then he looked down and he was like, "Oh."
And he was wearing the same shirt the other guy, so that was pretty cool. So after that, we went to what is now officially our annual dinner.
Yes.
At the brewery. I don't know where it is. I can't remember the name. All I know is last year we went on a Thursday, and it was like us and 2 other tables. This year was a bit different.
A little bit. It was a lot of people were there.
Yeah. Well, it's Saturday night. It was jam-packed. They had a live band. The people were jamming, and just the sheer quantity of beer that is served in this place.
Insane.
The table next to us had 5 looked like university student dudes. They had a pony keg, or I don't know what it's called, but it was a keg of beer at their
little
table.
Keg, yep.
Like they bring it on its own little mini pallet that sits on a table, and you just pour your own beer as needed. And at the beginning, I was just like, "Are you kidding?" And I took a couple pictures. And then when we left, I tilted it, right? And I was like, "What's up with this?" They said it's the second one. I was like, wow, to be young like that.
Yep.
Holy cow.
Yep.
So, you want to talk about dinner?
Sure. So Edward's talked about this dinner since he, had it last year. And so I knew what I was in for, but it was still exceeded my expectations because it was so delicious. So this is the raw pork place. So we ordered some of that. It was delicious. I don't know what else. Somebody else had something else, and I liked that a little bit better. But
it was like a garlic butter spread with some sort of nut.
No idea,
and then
but it
with
was good.
Some fried onions on top.
And then the star of the show was the Schweinsachse, which was...
Well, hold on. Let's unpack the raw pork thing a little for those that aren't familiar.
You go right ahead.
So I think it's called raw. Anyway, it's raw pork. It's a raw ground pork, seasoned a little bit, and you spread it on some of their bread, and you put some raw red onions on top and eat it.
Yep.
And you had no fear whatsoever. And Brandon
was like,
but tried it and had a full slice of it, and he was like, "Yeah, this is actually really good." And I'm like, "See?" And you liked it, right?
I thought it was good.
Okay.
The other one was better, but it was. I mean, I would eat that again for sure. And then, like I said, the Schweinsachse, and it had a gravy and potatoes and sauerkraut and mustard, and it was just this huge hunk of meat, and it was amazingly delicious.
Yeah, it really was. We everybody ordered, not everybody, but most of the people at the table ordered something pretty crazy. So there were 4 of us, including 2 women, that ordered Schweinsachse.
Yep.
So, and then Clay and Rolf ordered the brontosaurus steaks. These things were just massive pork chops, and it's unlike, the flavor was unlike any pork I'd ever had before, and was just, man, it's hard to describe. It was really good. Duroc, I like Duroc steaks, and it was so amazing. Rolf gave me a bite. Very tempted to order that for next year. However, Martin had ordered like this mixed skewered meat.
It literally was like a Brazilian steakhouse just in front of him.
To where all his meat came on this hanger and the skewer was hanging off this hanger that came next to his plate, and it was like 1.5 feet tall, full of just skewered different meats, sausages and beef and pork.
It was so weird.
It really
looked
did.
Really good.
It really looked like
Churrascaria?
Yeah, something right that like
Brazilian steakhouse,
or whatever.
It was crazy.
And so he finally unskewered it, and he set the stand next to him in the chair, and he's like my little skinny friend. And it was just the food was unbelievable. The company was fantastic. What'd you think of the beers?
It was really good. I only had one kind. It was like
the dark beer, right?
No, it was like there's light, medium, and dark, and I think this one was a medium. But I just drank whatever Yolanda said I should have. So
okay.
But I think it was a Dunkel. I don't know, but it was really good.
Okay. I did try it.
You did?
Didn't like it that at all, really. The dark beer, had you ordered that, I might have had a little bit more and tried some more of that. I had a glass of German red wine. Not good.
It's like grape flavored water.
Yeah, it was really thin, a little fruitier than I like, and yeah, just had a weird aftertaste. Not a fan. So I ended up having a liter of still water along with a Coke. They never serve ice.
I know, and I'm so excited to go back to America to get some ice.
So yeah, and then after that, dead tired, exhausted.
Yeah.
And full belly, and not the best conditions to learn a new game.
But
Rolf and Andre wanted Clay and I to try out, and you, but you were busy.
I was busy punching antiquities.
Yes. So we brought about 15 games back to the house to punch, and everybody kind of chipped in punching games and got them all punched out while playing.
Yep. Rolf was sitting there punching a game while talking about coffee roasters.
Right.
It was funny.
So their latest prototype, these are the designers behind Wildcatters. They have a game called Coffee Roasters that is unlike any other game that I've ever played, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
It does have a little bit of a arc-rate feel in the way the coffee is distributed, but it takes place, I think it's 1960s Brazil and fair trade coffee, and it's competitive to where players build corporations, and they can build up to 5 different corporations to work the fields there in Brazil on the mountainside, then to dry the coffee, then it gets imported to or exported to Antwerp, and then there are contracts to fulfill. I'm butchering the description of this. I was exhausted last night.
It sounds about like what I was hearing going on, so.
But I gotta say, I am hella impressed and really excited. Now, it's still in development, so it's not finished, and they don't have a publisher yet, although I know Clay was awfully excited about having played it. So after we only played half a game, we played 2 of the 4 rounds because all of us were beat tired. But then we sat around talking for about half an hour, kind of going over different aspects of the game and what we thought could be improved, and the reasoning behind why certain things are the way they are. And Coffee Roasters is going to be, provided it stays similar to how we played it last night, legitimately super excited.
Awesome.
And I don't get super excited about a lot of games, and I don't have to say that about this because they're not in this room listening to us. But yeah, legitimately excited about this game, and I think people are going to really, really dig it that like the types of games that we like.
Cool.
So after that, passed out, forgot that time went back an hour, so actually got an extra hour of sleep last night. So right now it's coming up on 8:30 or so. You got to edit this, get it out, and then a long day begins.
Yes, we will probably not sleep again until tomorrow at some point.
Yeah, tomorrow night.
Yeah.
So here we are Sunday. We're going to go to the mesa. You're going to ship some games home because we're not going to fit everything into our bags. Right. And then we still have a couple more games to pick up. We have a couple more meetings, a couple more possibly interviews. And then the fair ends. We jump on a train from Essen to Amsterdam at 9 o'clock. It gets into Amsterdam about midnight. We have to figure out how to get from the Amsterdam train station to the Amsterdam airport.
Yes.
And then we have about 8 hours to wait until our flight leaves. So it gives us plenty of time to punch more games
we will
and save some weight.
Everything should be punched by the time we board the aircraft.
Right. Or at least that isn't shipped home already, right? Yeah, I'm very excited to go home. I am very tired. I am very run down, but I would not trade this for the world. No. I thrive on this, and when we're done with this, by the time we hit the mesa, I will be full of energy, ready, go, 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 let's do this.
Yeah.
One last day, and just can't wait. So super excited.
Good.
But yeah, I'm also very excited to be going home. I'm very sad that it's almost over because blink and this stuff ended.
That's always how it is.
Even though I was very cognizant of that.
I was very aware and very, in the moment and everything, but it still goes by in a flash.
Yeah. So, which is sad and great at the same time. All right, guys. So next time you guys hear from us, we'll either be from the train on the way to Amsterdam or at the Amsterdam airport.
Yep. That's for sure.
All right. We'll catch y'all later.
Bye, everybody.